So let's try to make some sense of what the Supreme Court has been doing with these voting cases. Because maximizing every citizen's opportunity to vote, like justice, matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So let's try to tackle some of the Supreme Court cases. Some of them are not even cases, just the decisions the Supreme Court has been making recently in the, mail-in ballot vote count arena. So I want to take on the Pennsylvania case today, which you've probably heard about. And then tomorrow I'm going to try to tackle the Wisconsin case. If I have the energy, I might try to take on the South Carolina case on Friday. But for right now, let me just distinguish preliminarily between the Wisconsin case and the Pennsylvania case. One of the reasons I think those two cases were handled differently is because the Pennsylvania case had to do with a decision by the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court refused or declined to review that case. We'll talk about it in a minute. The Wisconsin case had to do with a decision from a federal court in Wisconsin, and the Supreme Court did act in that case. There's supposed to be more deference given to state courts and to state decisions than federal courts. So that's one reason that I think we can distinguish between those two cases, but I'll talk about Wisconsin tomorrow. I want to talk about Pennsylvania today, okay? So when we're talking about these issues, about whether certain ballots should be counted, particularly ballots that are received by mail late, after November 3rd, we have to talk about that issue against the backdrop of Donald Trump appointing a corrupt Postmaster General in Louis DeJoy, and DeJoy's only mission and only goal and only objective seems to be to slow mail delivery in advance of a national election. You can't talk about these cases without acknowledging that that is the backdrop that we're dealing with. Donald Trump intentionally trying to slow the delivery of the mail. So then, what is Donald Trump's three-part plan? One, appoint Louis DeJoy to slow the delivery of the mail. Two, have Republicans bring suit in Pennsylvania to try to argue that no ballots that are received by mail late after November 3rd should be counted. They tried to prohibit the counting of any ballots that are received late. Of course, they're received late because Trump and DeJoy did everything they could to make sure they would be received late. So, and then, of course, the third part of Trump's three-part plan is to try to stack the Supreme Court with a justice that Donald Trump told us he's putting there to basically try to help him win any election challenge that makes its way up to the Supreme Court. And we'll talk about that at the end of this video. So, this is really not governance at all that we're dealing with. This is attempted theft of an election, plain and simple. So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court decided that because of mail being slowed and other reasons, COVID, they would allow ballots, mailed-in ballots, to be counted up to 3 days after November 3rd. So late mailed-in ballots, if received within 3 days of November 3rd, could still be counted as long as there's no evidence that the postmark had been tampered with. There had to be proof that they had been mailed before the day of the election. Seems sensible, right? In fact, it seems appropriate given what we're contending with, both COVID and Louis DeJoy and Donald Trump trying to slow mail service. So then the Republicans, now who brought this suit? Republican legislators in Pennsylvania and the Republican Party of Pennsylvania, trying to stop late votes from being counted. They sought review in the Supreme Court. Now it takes 5 justices to vote in favor of review. And as you may have seen, the Supreme Court split on whether they should review the Pennsylvania state Supreme Court case. They split 4-4. Here's how the New York Times reported that out. Quote, "The Supreme Court's action was the result of a deadlock, 4-4. It takes 5 votes to grant a stay, and the Republicans who asked the court to intervene could muster only 4 votes. Justices Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh." Shocking. And then on the other side, voting against accepting the case for review were Chief Justice Roberts and the court's 3-member liberal wing, Justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan. That's how it was reported out in the New York Times. A 4-4 split, meaning the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling that ballots can be counted even if they come in 3 days late, it stands. Enter Amy Coney Barrett. So, the Republicans who brought this suit in Pennsylvania, I know you're going to be shocked by this, are trying to get the Supreme Court to reconsider this case. Give the Pennsylvania case a second look, because now Donald Trump has his extra justice, who he told us he put there to kind of throw the election his way if she's given the opportunity. And so now we'll have to see what happens with Amy Coney Barrett on the court. But here's what I want to highlight, folks. Amy Coney Barrett must recuse herself from any election case. Because if she participates in any case involving election matters, the court will forever be soiled, will be damaged, will be viewed as illegitimate, because Donald Trump said he was putting her on the court for that exact reason. So if she then does his dirty bidding, that will forever and perhaps irreparably damage the integrity, the reputation of the Supreme Court. She must recuse. And real quickly, the way recusal works when you're a Supreme Court justice is you, the justice, get to make the ultimate decision, but you must consult with the other 8 justices. I predict they will all say, we actually care about the legitimacy. Yes, we may be ideologues, left, right, but we care about the legitimacy of the court. We care about whether the American people are willing to accept our decisions and abide by them. So I think they will tell Amy Coney Barrett she must recuse, and then it's going to be up to her. I think she should recuse, and I am guardedly optimistic that she will recuse. But if she doesn't, think about this. Last week, the Constitution meant something. What did it mean? It meant that 8 Supreme Court justices looked at the Pennsylvania case and tried to decide what the Constitution meant regarding whether they should accept review of that case or not. And 4 voted that they wanted to review the case, the 4 conservative justices, and 4, Chief Justice Roberts and the 3 liberal justices said, no, inappropriate to review the case. That's what the Constitution meant last week. If Amy Coney Barrett joins the court and participates in the decision and comes up with a whole different constitutional meaning this week, saying that, oh, I'll participate and I'm going to vote with the 4 conservative justices, so that the Constitution means this week that we should and must review the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court case. Then the Constitution, 1, means nothing. And 2, we are left with 1 justice, Amy Coney Barrett, announcing for 330 million people what is constitutionally right and what is constitutionally wrong. That can't be, folks. And if that comes to pass, I contend that will be the best, most powerful argument that we must increase the number of Supreme Court justices. It can't be that one justice can decide this weightiest of issues, voting rights, for 330 million Americans and tell us the Constitution means something different this week than it meant last week. The number of justices must be increased. Importantly, it's lawful and constitutional. 9 is not a magic number. The Constitution doesn't provide that there must be 9 justices. In the nation's history, we've had as few as 5 Supreme Court justices and as many as 10. I think we need to dial it up. If not to 11, to 15, to 21, to 25. So you actually have a representative cross-section. So every Supreme Court case isn't the 5-4 cage match, death struggle over the ideology of 1 or 2 justices. It's time. It's time. So keep your fingers crossed that Amy Coney Barrett does the right thing, that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling stands, so that Donald Trump and Louis DeJoy will not win by slowing the mail and boxing out voters, registered voters, citizens who have every right to participate in this election. Don't box them out by slowing the mail and then arguing, hey, you can't count late ballots that are received late. Come on now. How transparent is that? It's not governance, it's theft. And they can't be let to get away with it. They can't. Folks, tomorrow I'll try to take on the Wisconsin case. And as I say, maybe Friday I'll try to take on the South Carolina case. In the meantime, we're almost down to the wire. Please get out there in numbers too big to rig and too real to steal. We'll get to the right result come November, and then in January, justice. Because justice matters.